Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here, checking out the series. Please do hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week, so it's a great way to keep up with your favorite artists. And I'm so excited to have one of my favorites, Danny Pudi, here. Hello, sir.
Hello, good morning. Thanks for having me.
No, it's a pleasure, man. Because I've been watching you for so long. You've just done season 3. We're in the middle of season 3 of Mythic Quest right now, which has been such a fun new season to kind of watch what you all are up to. Because I don't know. Once you start getting into those 3rd, 4th seasons and everything, it starts going. Are they going to go in circles? And you guys are still just. It's kind of crazy how high you guys are still hitting on this.
Oh, gosh, thanks. I know it's always a fear is like, do we have stories left? Do we have places to go with our characters? But that's the benefit of 3rd season is that you know your characters really well. You know your ensemble, you know your team, and you can kind of dive deeper and deeper into their worlds. And so that's been season 3 is we really start, stretching even further, tonally, but also kind of getting to know our characters and some of their demons.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we'll get to that, but I also saw, like, did I see that you directed an episode of this season, right?
I did. Yeah, I directed the 5th season of the 3rd episode called Playpen, which was incredible. It was such a fun challenge and my first time directing TV, so it was awesome. It was really exciting.
What is that? I mean, so you've obviously been on the other side of the camera. You've watched directors when you make that turn, and especially when you're around a cast that you've been with for this long. I mean, what is that process? What was it for you?
Fear. And excitement, a gentleness. It's interesting because yes, I've worked in TV for a long time now, and most of the work I do is internally with my own character. I do my work and I show up on set, and we create something new, and sometimes we do something on the fly on set, and there's a collaboration that happens with directors, but we frequently have new directors almost every week, right? And so to go on the other side was different because I had to switch hats a little bit and try to figure out how to communicate certain things, which was tricky. It's something I'd never done before, as well as acting in the episode at the same time. So that was a unique challenge. My very first scene I was in. And thankfully, I had an amazing team. I texted Megan Gans about directing, and she's a co-showrunner, co-creator who I'd worked with on Community, and we know each other really well. And so I could always lean on her if I had questions, and have someone there that could watch my back while I was trying to juggle this time. So yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like there'd be so much like, are they going to respect me? Or because suddenly it's that
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a power shift, but in a certain way, it's sort of a power shift.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time apologizing right away. And I was very honest with how little I knew. I wanted to make sure everyone knew, like, this is new for me. I'm not entirely sure how this is going to go. I don't know. We're going to try it though. We're going to have fun. And I was fortunate. Our cast is incredible and they know me. And that's the cool thing about being in a season 3 directing for the first time is that we've already gotten used to each other's rhythms. And like I said, it's a very collaborative set. And so it's not unusual for multiple people to contribute and say, hey, I actually have this idea in this scene. I think it should go this way. So it makes it a lot easier to chime in and chip in. It just also just overall, it gives you such a greater appreciation for the whole team, art department, set design, sound, wardrobe, all the different pieces that go into making the show.
Yeah. Well, that was such an important, cornerstone or turning point of the episode. I mean, when we're talking about Playpen and what goes on with that one, but seeing especially what Brad has kind of gone through, excuse me, because we start out and here he is, you're back, but now you're custodian, and
Yeah.
and you're sort of nice, but is he really? I mean, it's always that thing about how did you want to go into this season, and really, how much say do you have in where your character is going?
Yeah, it's a tricky thing. I think the central question for season 3 for Brad, for me, was, is he reformed? And how much of that do we show? How much do we show the audience? How much do we show the other characters? I think everyone knows that Brad always has a scheme. He always has a different motive, but sometimes the motives actually benefit other people. So everyone wants to keep him around. He's kind of like your villain that you want on your side. But I know in season 2 we see Brad go to jail, but ultimately I think it's kind of a heroic moment for him because he went to protect some people in the office, specifically Joe. And so I think that there's like this kind of fun element about Brad where yes, he's a manipulator. Yes, he's sort of devious, but at the same time, I think he does have a heart deep down, and he just doesn't want to show it to anyone. And so I think that's the game in all of these scenes. I'm texting with Megan and talking with Rob about how much we want to show here, how much we want to do here with Brad. What is he really up to? And sometimes nobody really knows, including me. But that's the fun kind of it, is that we get to try different things. We often try different things in a scene, so that way we can play with it in the edit to see kind of what works best.
Yeah, that's interesting too, because I'd wondered, if you knew where he was going to end up, and I finished the season, so if you know where he's going to end up or not, does that change how you approach when you're playing like nice Brad?
Yeah, I think this season I did sort of know the arc of where Brad was going, and there's still a lot of room for why Brad chooses to like things, why Brad chooses to be nice to certain people. Why is he still drawn to this environment? And I think it is his chosen family, and I think it allows him a playpen to be himself, truly be himself. I think we've seen in season 2 his family, and I guess how dysfunctional that was with his brother, played by Parvesh China, one of my best friends. And now I think we see that actually in this office, it is sort of a safe place for him to kind of play and figure out, and also really express, I guess, his talents, because he is incredibly talented, gifted at looking at power structures and finding ways for everyone to succeed within this corporate environment.
Now, do you base him on anyone? Like when I think of like you're playing Brad, this very dark character, in a timeline of our real lives that can be seen as, having quite a bit of darkness in it too, with lots of megalomaniacs sort of everywhere in the news. I mean, does that sort of filter its way in?
A little bit. I think early on talking to Megan about this character, what drew me to Brad was that there was so much that was unknown. Even in his office, when we were looking at the set design about his desk, it's very minimal. There's no clues to his existence outside of work. And I always thought that was really fun to have this character that we can kind of invent a backstory and create and leave a lot of mystery to him. In terms of me and preparation for it, I mean, I've had a few ideas going into it. I did work in the corporate world for a little bit prior to this job. I also got to speak with an actual head of monetization prior to working on the show. And Ubisoft has been really helpful by giving us actual video game knowledge and consultants on set to help us fill in the blanks. And I guess one of the visuals I have is Wile E. Coyote. I think of Wile E. Coyote physically. I watched a lot of Looney Tunes as a kid, and I know it maybe you don't see it necessarily in this in the portrayal of Brad, but I just love this sort of resilience of Brad. I like this kind of playful villain nature he has, and he's crafty. He's just very crafty. And then I also have a couple people that I've talked to in my life that I just never really knew who they were outside of work. And I had all these, I used to invent all these scenarios for who they were as soon as they left the office, because I never really got to see them. I only saw them in work mode. When I went back when I worked in Chicago, I worked in an office, and I sort of kind of based some of Brad on a couple of those people, that some of the characteristics where I just really never really knew who they were outside of work, but that was really exciting to me when I had interactions with them, and then just picture what they were like as soon as they got on the train and they left work.
Yeah, well, there was a line I think you said in the podcast, the Bestie Questy podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, that where he said he likes to watch the chaos unfold.
Oh yeah.
And I thought, what a beautiful description of Brad, and you said, and maybe even yourself. That's
Yeah, I think I grew up in a very I guess unusual family. I grew up and I always felt like I was an observer in the chaos of just around. it just kind of felt like that. And so there was this moment, I think it was in the pilot, that we were filming, and it was just kind of this moment where we're just kind of looking around the room, and there's this fight going around, and I noticed that Brad doesn't say anything in this moment. There was no lines there, but we're all together, and I just thought this was such a fun. But Brad is just kind of sitting there comfortably, and I thought this was such a great moment to kind of learn a little bit more about him without him saying anything. And the camera sort of landed on me, and I gave this look like this is just enjoyable. No one else was having a good time, but I thought that was really interesting that Brad was actually having a really good time sitting comfortably in the middle of all this chaos. And I think Brad, when things start to fall apart, really sees it as an opportunity to kind of pounce on people and kind of pick things up. And, I guess there's always this sort of this fun, this playful moment when things start to fall apart, where Brad always just sees it as an opportunity.
I mean, it's got to be such a juicy role. I mean, it's one of my favorites.
Thanks. Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, it's I just feel fortunate because we get to collaborate, right? We get to pitch in, we get to explore, and like I said, we frequently will start a scene one way and it ends up going completely in a different direction. But I think that's the really exciting thing, is that we can kind of add on to it. And when something feels right, we can go for it and experiment. So it's a fun role, and it's fun to be able to say things without consequence. Because in my normal world, I can't just say evil things to the people around me, and that doesn't feel good in my heart. And I think about it, I end up replaying the conversations. But Brad has no problem, saying whatever's on his mind and just walking away calmly as if nothing happened.
This is exactly what you want out of a career, right there. Is that license? Is that license to say whatever you need? Right? Yeah, that's it. That's what the top of the mountain is. You kind of mentioned filling in the holes with the technology, and one of the things that we do get in on the front end of this season is the metaverse, which again, here we are lining up with what we're hearing in the news. And how much of that again do you keep up with? Like are you on top of the technology as much as your characters tend to be?
Absolutely not. No, we have consultants there. We have people who are constantly explaining things to us, which is very helpful. It's fast. A lot of the references in the show, we're talking about Web3 and Web4. I'm talking about concepts, loot crates, microtransactions, and all these different things that are completely new to me, which is fun because I get to learn about this world, and now I get to see it actually in action when my son is playing like Rocket League and telling me about a fancy decal that's available right now. And now I'm like, interesting. What do you find interesting about that decal? And where did you find it in the game? And how many of your friends have it? And how is it being sold? And so I get to learn. That's the exciting thing about it. But truly, I have almost zero knowledge going into it. I play video games, but the world building and all the different aspects of a game being alive and being sticky and staying alive, that is completely new to me and massive, and that's been really cool to learn about.
Yeah, I will say I'm the same way. I have a son, he's 15 and huge Fortnite fan, has been for the last few years. And the idea of spending money on skins, I suddenly realized that I was out of my generation entirely. It's like, wait, you just want to spend the money on that? That's what you want to and then what?
Yeah, I know that, and that's it. It's the whole customization angle, which is unique, and my kids have it too. They have they have this water bottle with stickers all over it. And all the kids have water bottles, and my son's got this, Kendrick Lamar sticker, and he's got this other sticker, a surfboard, and I'm like, it's this idea of like curating your own individual existence. So that's kind of cool, but yeah, it's different than how I was playing when I was playing, Ocarina of Time. There was or GoldenEye or whatever I was playing, that it's just different now. So yeah, I'm definitely catching up.
He walks upstairs, I'm playing Dr. Mario. It's like, it's Tetris. Yeah, sure. This is what I'm about right now. Prince of Persia. I'm on Prince of Persia. There's an ending.
I was doing Tetris on my Game Boy. Woo, that was a great place for my anxiety. Great place.
When we look at some of your most famous characters too, and again, I am going to bring up Community because that's thank God that's back in the news as we're talking about the movie. But here we have, in one sense, two very different characters, but there is that line where you cross where Abed and Brad being so much about analytics and that world do you find that there are certain character tropes that you're drawn to like that, or maybe is that coincidence?
I think that's an interesting observation. I think it's something that I was drawn to as a kid. Mine was a little different. I was memorizing song lyrics. I was huge into memorizing baseball statistics or basketball statistics. I grew up in Chicago, big fan of Jordan, Chicago Bulls, and so part of that world was in me in terms of gathering knowledge and collecting that kind of thing. But now it's just these two worlds are very different for me. When people ask me, like, are you an expert in pop culture like Abed? Do you know every episode of MASH or Farscape? Absolutely not. Brand new to me. Again, we had people on set who were very helpful in helping me become Abed. And the same is true with Brad, is that there are some aspects of me that I find align with these characters. I am drawn to characters who have kind of specific sort of worldviews and see the world a little differently. And at the same time, I'm very quick to rely on other people to help me kind of figure out what I'm missing.
I gotta ask you, song lyrics. As you're growing up around the Bulls, and I've got the classic Jordan free throw poster just across the room from me. But on the music side, what was that for you at the time? Like, you got the Bulls. What are you listening to?
So, I mean, obviously Sirius, Alan Parsons, that music is still my like go-to pump up music. Mm-hmm. Once I hear that, I can't help but get like, chills. I'm just excited. I want to go do something. Even if I go to the grocery store, I'm excited with that music playing. I'm pumped. I'm pumped to find, the best deals on cantaloupes. I love cantaloupe. In terms of music that I'm like memorizing, I was a big fan of hip hop. So I grew up, 90s hip hop was very exciting to me. So, I would listen to a lot of Chicago stuff, Common, and at the same time, Wu-Tang Clan. I would be memorizing a lot of Wu-Tang Clan, Cash Rules Everything Around Me. I would say that those were the spaces where I tended to, phrenology, the Roots, like things like that. I was definitely listening to on repeat over and over again. But at the same time, it was, I kind of had a nice mix of other stuff too. I don't know, I'm trying to think of like other random songs. My earliest memory is me recording songs off the radio with a little cassette recorder. And that was just like, I think it was Roxette, maybe something like She's Got the Look, maybe something like that was it was very moving to me. So Roxette, Wu-Tang Clan. I'm sure you've heard that a lot. Those two go hand in hand.
It does go hand in hand. It's nice though, I do envy that a little bit because hip hop and basketball, it did go together really well in the 90s. And I was in the middle of Kentucky and obsessed with alternative music. And if you liked in the 90s, if you liked alt music, you sort of weren't allowed to like sports, but I was a Bulls obsessive too. So it all came around. Yeah. But it was like you had to keep them compartmentalized, I guess. That was
yeah, it's interesting. I remember like some 90s. I'm trying to think of like Third Eye Blind, things like that. I discovered Nirvana through my uncle. I remember that. I was actually in Poland, which is kind of funny, visiting my uncle, who's a professor, and I didn't really know much about grunge or alternative rock or those worlds. Like I said, I was listening to a lot of hip hop. Listening to stuff my brother was listening to, and Tribe Called Quest, things like that, right? And then I just remember my uncle showing me this album, Smells Like Teen Spirit, and then he was like, "You've never heard of this?" And he was so disappointed in me. And from then on, it was like he was giving me albums like Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, and just these worlds were opening up to me through my cool uncle. So. I definitely, in a record shop, I definitely had those moments too.
Yeah, we all had to have the cool uncle, at least someone that showing us that. But the hip hop, it came handy as I pivot a little bit because you did get to show off your skills a little bit, of course, with Troy and Abed in the morning with and all of that on Community. And I'll quickly say that I am excited. My wife got me this last year for my birthday. I'm a doctorate of musicology.
Congratulations!
From Greendale, yeah.
Oh my gosh! Congrats! Those are hard to get. Those are hard.
Apparently so. But really quickly, because I'm so excited, and for you to be a part of both of these worlds at one time of Mythic Quest and this great ensemble cast, and then to go back in Community. I'll sort of throw this out generically. I mean, what is this like for you? Have you already started on the process of the movie yet? Are you back in that world?
Not yet. Mentally a little bit. So we've had some discussions, we've had some meetings and a couple of Zoom calls just regarding story and things of that nature. But nothing formal is in place yet. It's more of just an agreement that we're all excited to do this, and that's truly special. I think it's something that I don't think any of us have truly expected in doing the show. I remember saying, 6 seasons in a movie, uh, and then having a cape and knocking over Joe McHale, who had his tray, and doing that bit and thinking that this is just this joke that's going to go nowhere. And then the fans jumped onto it and really made it a rallying cry. And I think it was just just something beautiful that we owe to the fans for keeping our show alive. Our show was frequently about to be canceled, and um, I think that's kind of led how we actually filmed the show in many ways. I think we actually filmed it like it was this web show that we were secretly filming, in the back of a studio that we didn't think anybody was watching. And I remember going to Comic-Con and seeing the reaction and being just floored at realizing that people were actually responding to Troy and Abed in the morning, holding mugs, drinking out of them, wearing Inspector Spacetime outfits. And that's just really cool. People are still wearing, human being costumes for Halloween, which are frightening, but exciting as well that still lives on. And I don't know. I'm more than anything, I'm just really excited that we get to kind of have this reunion, and thankful for the fans for truly making it happen.
Yeah. Do you have your own wish list of what like storylines you'd like to see, where you'd like to see the characters end up in this?
I don't. I never really did. That was something that I was actually really excited about with playing Abed, is I never really knew where we were going to go. There was just trust, and I enjoyed that process and how it unfolded. I enjoyed it as an actor. I loved showing up to set not truly knowing, but I liked and it all starts with the writing, which is just incredible. I was given such rich material to work with that it was just a joy to play in, and to sit in that world and to think about all the scenarios and kick puncher and all the different things that we kind of got to play in. It was just beautiful. And it's honestly the same thing with Mythic Quest. I don't love to know too. I like to know too much because I like to show up to set and have a world that I get to kind of play in and ask questions to myself, and that truly starts with the writing. So I went to them.
Yeah. Well, I will say on both of those shows, Mythic Quest and the Community, Community had been so important for me anyway, and really once the lockdowns and all that happened, both of those shows, because I think Community, of course, it came back for a lot of people too, especially as we talked about Darkest Timeline, etc.
Yeah.
But both of those were just, I mean, they were so important. And then, and I'll close out with this too, knowing that you're a part of Avatar, the Last Airbender, the new version of that. How's that shaping up? How's that coming along?
It's great. I finished filming earlier this year. That was such a surprise and exciting, and I had a great time doing it. I can't really talk much about it, but I'm very excited. I got to wear some prosthetics, and that's always fun when you get to transform a little bit. And I think I'm hopeful for it. It was definitely a massive production, and I got to work with some people that I am also just fans of. I'm a big fan of Utkarsh Ambedkar, and he's in it as well. And a lot of people that I never got a chance to work with. So I'm excited for people to see it. It was definitely a unique production. And again, it's another world where I was just excited to jump into. I'm a fan of these worlds where obviously there's a big fan base, and I hope we please them and make them happy.
Well, you have some great characters. You're a very rich man when it comes to that right there. I will say, I love what you put out into the world.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Kyle. Oh, I want to see that Jordan poster. I'm picturing the one where he's in space and he's like holding the moon, or I don't know if it's
no.
it's
the free throw. It's the slam dunk contest. So I can't twist my computer. It's all going to get screwed up. I mean, I've also got the dream team from, was it 92?
Barcelona?
Yeah, that's the one right there.
Awesome.
Because I'm in a
Well,
little nerd palace down here, and I'm a 40-year-old guy, so it's
hey, it's our version of the decals. It's our version of the skids. You know what I mean? That's
it
exactly
absolutely.
it.
Thanks. I can
Yeah.
now relate to my kid. That's the whole
Again,
purpose of this.
I got my Chicago Bulls towel right here from when I worked at the United Center in high school, right here on the wall. So
Yeah,
it's
I
the
heard
same
about
thing.
that story you told on Kimmel with
Yeah,
the picking
yeah.
up in the beer and everything, hand washing it. That's some dedication right there.
I'll do it, man. That's what you do for your heroes. That's what you do.
Danny, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about it. Season 3 of Mythic Quest. I so enjoyed this. As soon as I finished it, I thought, oh crap, I want another season immediately. So you guys
Yay!
are so great.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Kyle. Appreciate it, man.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.